At issue, whether the state of Colorado can keep former President Trump off the 2020 presidential ballot in that state due to his involvement in events surrounding the January 6th insurrection. Back with us, Neil Katyal, Chuck Rosenberg, Andrew Weissman, Kenji Yoshino, Joyce Vance, joining us, Lisa Rubin, and of course, my colleagues here, Ana Cabrero and Jose Diaz-Balart. Andrew, let me ask you first, because it seemed to us in listening to this so closely for the last 2 hours, 19 minutes or so, that there was broad agreement across the usual political division lines that there was a lot of ambiguity in this process, and that ambiguity would favor keeping the candidate, Donald Trump, on the ballot.
I agree with you. My takeaway from this is you were counting the votes. Remember, Justice O'Connor famously said when she was asked what's it like to be on the Supreme Court, it's about counting to 5. Here, there's clearly, I think, 5 votes, if not 9 votes, that are going to reverse this case. The point that you made about ambiguity was raised by various justices, meaning that if it's not clear, shouldn't that sort of favor having somebody being allowed to run and thus our ability to vote for that person? There's a lot of concern about having a state have the power to interfere with a federal election. It's not a state interfering with a state election. It's should they really be able to weigh in on this? And then there was an interesting sort of across, as your point, across different justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Thomas, who was very active in this oral argument, talking about the history of this amendment, talking about how it really dealt with the Confederacy and the concern about Confederates burrowing in to Confederate states and sort of influencing federal elections. And so it would be anomalous. It would be ironic to suddenly say, oh, this is sort of, we should allow states to take this on. It's a reason to have federal jurisdiction here, not state jurisdiction. Big takeaway is this is, I think, going to be a win for Donald Trump and a loss for Colorado.
And so it was so interesting, Anna, that it was Justice Jackson that brought up that whole issue of the history of not permitting the insurrectionists in a Confederate context.
Well, and again, we know so many of these Supreme Court justices consider themselves
whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. Live, and I'm coming at you with 5. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream here in the cosmos of YouTube, social media, Facebook, X, and any other good platform you want to talk about. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. If you're watching on our backup channel, Gavin Richard, or on GBoot2786, or via Facebook or X, we welcome you. I need you all, if you have not, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hit it hard. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Smash it up. Hit the subscribe button if you are not subscribed, and share alike among all of you. We're going to bring in our special guest on this Thursday night as well. As always, he's joined me he joins me every Thursday. The author of The Man Crisis, Shawn James. We're going to join him in a minute. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do our Black History moment. And today it is on Frederick McKinley Jones, the man who invented portable refrigeration. We have Frederick McKinley Jones, who actually was born in Covington, Kentucky in 1893. Frederick Jones was born to a white father and a black mother. His father was John Jones, who was an Irishman, and his mother was black, which would have meant that 40 years previously, he would have been a slave in the fields of Kentucky due to his mulatto status. His mother died while he was still a toddler, and his father struggled to raise him until the age of 7, at which time he was sent to a Catholic rectory at the age of 7. By the age of 9, both of his parents were dead, but a Catholic priest in Kentucky named Father Ryan took him in and saw his early education by enrolling him in elementary school. It was there that Jones learned and honed his skills as a mechanic. He developed an interest in auto mechanics on the job by watching men work on cars, and soon he was trusted to tinker with autos as well, and was a promising and skilled teen at the trade. By a mere 14 years of age, they hired him as a full-time mechanic. But where he really gets his fame and what we honor him today, of course, he was a World War I veteran, but Jones was created the idea of portable refrigeration. In the 1930s, transporting products that required controlled climates was still in an experimental phase, with various methods resulting in abject failure. Earlier portable cooling units succumbed to road vibration. Therefore, ice was the go-to option, but of course, it didn't last long in the summertime. So he expressed to a third golfer, who was in the air conditioning industry, that he should invent something to prevent poultry and other foods from spoiling during long road trips. During this discussion, it led to a broader discussion on refrigeration, which involved long-haul transports. Numero half-heartedly offered to build a cooling unit for Werner's trucks. Werner immediately accepted and had a truck delivered to Cinema Supplies for outfitting. Numero didn't think a unit could be built for the trucks, and he was ready to tell Werner just that. But Jones took a look at the trailer and made some measurements and decided to try his hand at it. By the way, for those who are wondering, Harry Werner was an executive in the trucking industry, and Joseph Numero was a golfer at that time. And so in a matter of weeks, Jones completed his shockproof cooling unit, and thus the refrigerated semi-truck was born. The invention received a U.S. patent on July 12, 1940, and on the strength of it, Numero sold his company to RCA. Numero and Jones quit the movie theater business altogether and formed a partnership called U.S. Thermal Control Company, of which Jones was chief engineer and vice president. Foods that required controlled climates no longer spoiled en route while transported in trucks outfitted with Jones's invention. Thermal Control Company, later renamed Thermo King, they developed refrigerated trucks that transported food to soldiers during World War II. And in the post-war America, the delivery of fresh fruit to far-flung locations happened year-round. So the company that Frederick McKinley Jones co-founded, Thermo King, quickly became a multi-million-dollar corporation, which now employs thousands of people as a pioneer and leader in transport refrigeration. Jones died in they didn't have his date of death here, but Frederick Jones, we salute him, our Black History moment. Mr. Jones passed away in 1961. So, multi-millionaire. So that is Frederick McKinley Jones, ladies and gentlemen, your Black History moment. The man who invented portable refrigeration. Good evening, Shawn.
Good evening, Gavin. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you all. Yes, it was my birthday this past Wednesday. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. I enjoyed myself. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't do too. I went out to dinner and then I came home and fell asleep. It's the middle of the week, no clubbing because I got to get up in the morning and work. Shit. If I had some money, probably I could do a little bit more. But we're live, ladies and gentlemen, coming out with you 5. And Shawn, I want you obviously to do a plug-in. Thank you for the birthday wish as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, the SJS Direct 2024 catalog is going to be launching officially on March 22nd, but you can put in your pre-orders for 2 of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog books in digital format, John Haynes Illuminati and ISIS Dark Incubus, on Amazon.com right now. So it's Black History Month, and I'm looking for some sales for the SJS Direct catalog, and you can put in your pre-orders for those books or buy all older books that are a part of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog on Amazon.com.
Let's talk. All right, that's great. Let's talk about one of our major topics. We got 3 that we're discussing. I'm not in a particular order, but I know everybody has comments, especially. I will talk about the Monique situation, Monique Club Shay Shay sit down in a second. But of course, something in the news today. The Supreme Court of the United States is hearing Donald Trump's 14th Amendment argument, where he's trying to get ballot access in Colorado. For those that don't remember, last year, the state of Colorado removed Donald Trump from their ballots. And as such, Trump has filed a lawsuit in federal court to reinstate his name on the ballots, arguing it violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And as you can tell, especially what you saw earlier here on MSNBC with the reports, they're stating it doesn't look good for the state of Colorado because they're trying to keep Donald Trump off. But this is on MSNBC, and you're hearing this. And MSNBC, as you know, is a Democratic leaning network. So listen to what they've had to say here for a few minutes if you've heard it earlier.
Textualists or originalists in terms of their ideology. And so that history piece is important here.
Yeah, history played a big role in the discussion today. As a history nerd, Hannah, I found it fascinating. To Andrew's point, you heard a little bit about the history of the 14th Amendment across ideological lines. Chief Justice Roberts said, for instance, that the intent behind the 14th Amendment was not to empower the states, but rather to constrain the states, that the power would be that of the federal government post-Civil War to keep the states in line. And so the notion that you would give states the power to police a federal election, to qualify, or in this case, disqualify a federal candidate, would be anathema, right? Would be an opposite to the history of the 14th Amendment. Again, you heard it from Chief Justice Roberts, you heard it from Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, you heard it from Elena Kagan, and you heard sort of hints of it, I think, from Justice Thomas as well. So very interesting historical argument. And I agree with Andrew. It seems to me that the votes are clearly on the side of overturning the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court.
Neil, how did you see it? And what were some of the parts that struck out the most to you?
So, I've watched over 400 Supreme Court arguments. I've done 50 myself. I would tell you this argument did not go well for the Trump challengers, and that's to put it mildly. I probably have some other adjectives that I won't say on air. In the thing that I was watching for was any indication anywhere about just how dangerous a ruling to overturn the Colorado Supreme Court was. We heard a lot from the court, particularly the Chief Justice, Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Alito, about how if you affirm the Colorado decision, it'll empower states to mess with federal elections. And to be sure, that's a risk. But what you never heard the Trump challengers really get at was the risk on the other side, that this is a canonical part of our Constitution, forged after the Civil War at one of the most difficult times in our nation's history. And yet we came together and said, insurrectionists can't be on the ballot, not just about the Civil War, but going forward for all sorts of reasons. There was no discussion of that, really. Basically, they allowed Donald Trump to read the 14th Amendment like a tax code, looking for a loophole here and a loophole there. And, unfortunately, the stakes on the other side were not presented to the court today. And so I saw only one justice, really, Justice Sotomayor, who was really listening to what the Colorado challengers were saying. And it wouldn't shock me if even she, when push came to shove, and she reads a transcript of this argument, may come the other way. Now, the justices could go back. They could read all the friend of the court briefs, which make a lot of these points, and come up with the other side. But, presumably they read those briefs before the argument today, and they got no help, to use Justice Alito's word, no help from the challengers to Trump today in the oral argument.
And can I ask a follow-up about that specifically? Because, Neil, you were somebody who's argued before the Supreme Court. We know that the challengers here, their lawyer, Jason Murray, this is his first time going before the Supreme Court, whereas Trump's lawyer has argued before the Supreme Court 5 times before. Did you recognize the disparity in terms of their experience there, or did you feel like both lawyers gave their strongest case and strongest arguments here?
Yeah, I don't want to chalk it up to experience. Like I've, as you say, I've had a lot of experience, but I'll certainly mess up arguments, and so experience is no, guarantee of anything. I don't want to say that, but I do want to say, in a case of this gravity, you need to basically call out the other side, and you need to call out the court even. And so you need to say about the other side, you're gutting the Constitution, Donald Trump. What you need to say to the court is, look, you for years have staked yourself on strict construction of the document, on the original intent of the document. The original intent of the document is so clear against Donald Trump. You need to be using their methodology that they've used to say, look, you've got to be consistent with what you said before. We heard none of that today. I'm not sure why, but that makes it, frankly, a really easy case for the U.S. Supreme Court to decide in favor of Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. So you could tell that this lawyer who's speaking, I think this is an attorney, essentially, he's talking about how the other side, especially, didn't use this stuff against Donald Trump about insurrection. So they really are losing their minds because they want Trump off this ballot. They know that if Trump will win in a landslide if elected. Because at the rate it's going, a lot of people are not pulling for Biden. But you're listening to this, so Trump has not been convicted of any criminal charges. That's one thing. And this is not me as a Donald Trump fan. I'm not necessarily, but I think Donald Trump is starting to warm on some people, especially the black community, Shawn.
Yeah. I would say that this case was another one of those desperate Hail Marys
Right.
for the state of Colorado, and they really screwed this whole thing up. And they screwed it up by taking him off the ballot without having any sort of legal precedent to back it up, because if you don't have a legal precedent to back it up, people are going to say that you're basically violating Donald Trump's rights as related to our Constitution. And that's what this whole case was all about, them violating his rights, because in order to get Donald Trump off the ballot in Colorado, they would have to prove that he was convicted of a crime, of a federal crime. And with this being a national election, you have a state basically overstepping its bounds. And this state is overstepping its bounds because this is a federal election, and it is not their place to tell a presidential candidate what ballot they should be on as related to a presidential election. So this entire case overall was one that when I heard it, I said, if it goes to the Supreme Court, they're going to throw this case out, because this case basically is the state trying to interfere in federal matters and trying to interfere in a national election. And that's not going to be allowed by the U.S. Supreme Court, because under our Constitution, federal supersedes state, and federal being
clause.
Yeah, that clause there's no way you could get around that clause as related to our Constitution, and you just cannot remove people off a ballot. And if you did put that ruling in place, it would create a dangerous legal precedent, which would make it where if somebody just didn't like a candidate, they could get them kicked off a ballot, and that's not what our Constitution is all about as related to elections.
Right, most definitely. What do you think? So you feel this is going to be dismissed?
Yeah, I definitely believe it's going
well,
to
I mean, not dismissed, but it'll be what's going to happen since Trump's made the challenge is going to be granted, and they're going to obviously strike it down as unconstitutional.
They're going to have to strike it down as unconstitutional, because a state cannot tell anybody if they can be on a ballot for a federal election. That is not the state's job as related to law. A state cannot tell anybody where they should be in a federal election. Now, if they wanted to argue 14th Amendment, they basically jumped the gun, because all of those cases in Atlanta and New York and the case by the federal prosecutor, those cases would have to prove a verdict as related to the charge of sedition or the charge of insurrection. And that hasn't been proven in a legal court in a trial. And many of those cases basically, I don't think, are going to trial, because the window for taking these cases to trial is narrowing as we speak. So you would need to get a conviction in order to get Donald Trump removed from the ballot. And without that conviction, you're not getting him off the ballot, because he's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And until he has been proven guilty, they cannot take him off the ballot.
Right. They can't take him off the ballot. On top of that, where I think they have the legal issue is that he has also, as a state, you're trying to remove a former president from the ballot for no reason other than you just don't want him to have access. Now, New Hampshire New Hampshire has taken Joe Biden off the ballot earlier last year. So are we going to see, if the shoe was reversed? Now, I don't think New Hampshire has the electorates like talking about it, but if the shoe on the other foot, don't you think they would be raising holy hell?
Yeah, they definitely would be, because they'll be like, why are you taking Joe Biden off the ballot? Why are you removing him from the ballot?
President.
Yeah. And you cannot take people off ballots. I mean, that's not how our Constitution works. And people have to stop trying to go after Donald Trump based on their feelings and come up with an argument based on fact. Otherwise, you're just going to make Donald Trump stronger and make his case for him.
Yes. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Speaking of which, since we're talking about that, Shawn, I brought this up today. Of course, the special prosecutors that was investigating Joe Biden, they found that Biden had actually was not going to be charged with any crime in particular for his documents case. What they found was that they opted not to pursue charges against the president, but raised questions about his mental acuity. So what they're trying to say is that while he had all of these documents that were classified, scattered out in his house, like that in his garage, like what we saw with Donald Trump, they're not pressing charges against him. However, what you also have is he's basically saying they question his mental acuity, meaning his mental state. And Biden supposedly pushed back at that. I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. But you know that, so I'm going to play this, but also what we got going on is that you have in Michigan, for instance, some Arabs are going against Biden. They are disappointed in the president's position, in particular on Israel and Palestine, and his refusal to endorse a ceasefire. So I'm going to play two different videos. I want y'all to hear this, but this is the from NBC News. This is the special counsel's assessment. So here we go.
Are warranted, but the investigation uncovered evidence that against President Biden are warranted. But the investigation uncovered evidence that rated report by special counsel Robert Hur concludes that no criminal charges against President Biden are warranted. But the investigation uncovered evidence that President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his vice presidency when he was a private citizen.
So what they're saying is that when he was vice president under Barack Obama, he willfully retained, disclosed classified materials that would not be readily made available to the public, obviously due to national security. But he did so even as a private citizen. But the special prosecutor is saying he is not going to press any charges. Thank you, computer robots.
Including marked classified documents about Afghanistan and notebooks with sensitive intelligence sources and methods, which he shared with a ghostwriter. The report says that posed serious risks to national security.
So he shared, you heard that?
Yes, I did.
They said that he shared classified materials with a ghostwriter. So let's go back. Hold on, listen very carefully. Repeat that again.
It says that pose serious risks to national security. And ghostwriter, the report says, and methods which he shared with a ghostwriter, intelligence sources and methods which he shared with a ghostwriter. The report says that pose serious risks to national security.
So he shared intelligence methods with a ghostwriter, right? Am I right? That pose a threat to national security. This is what the special prosecutor said. This is what they said. They also found some more.
And at a time when polls show most Americans have concerns about the 81-year-old president's mental and physical health, the special counsel's report offers scathing details of what it calls his diminished faculties and faulty memory. writing, "If charged, Mr. Biden will likely present himself to the jury, as he did during his interview with our office, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. It would be difficult to convince a jury they should convict him." According to the report, Mr. Biden did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended, and forgetting on the second day of the interview when his term began. He did not remember, even within several years, when his son Beau died.
How in the hell dare he raise that?
Wow.
Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away or passed away.
Later in the press conference, President Biden referring to the president of Egypt as the president of Mexico.
As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in.
The extraordinary circumstances here require the appointment of a special counsel.
Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed the special counsel in January of last year, after President Biden's attorneys first discovered classified documents at one of his former offices on November 2nd, 2022. The White House waited until after the midterm elections to tell the public. And the report includes these photos of where prosecutors say more classified documents were improperly stored in a badly damaged box near a collapsed dog crate in Mr. Biden's Delaware garage. A separate special counsel investigated former President Trump for allegedly mishandling classified documents found at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Some boxes found inside a bathroom. Mr. Trump was charged with 40 criminal counts, to which he's pleaded not guilty. Tonight, the former president is calling the lack of charges in the Hur report a two-tiered system of justice. But the report argues the two cases are different, and that while Mr. Trump was given multiple chances to return classified documents, he allegedly did the opposite and obstructed justice by enlisting others to destroy evidence. In contrast, the report says Mr. Biden alerted authorities. The president says he cooperated completely.
So what they're trying to say, or what they're saying, is that Trump didn't cooperate with the state, with the feds, and tried to destroy evidence, which is why he's got 43 counts charges levied against him versus Joe Biden, who's not receiving anything. Do you see this as a bias, Shawn? And by that I mean the fact that Biden is not being charged, but Trump is, and his excuse for that. Do you think?
I definitely do see a case of bias, because when I look at both of these cases, I mean, they basically demonized Donald Trump for having these classified documents. Meanwhile, Joe Biden has had these documents for over a decade, because his term as president ended about 2016, I believe. So he's had these documents for a good 8 to 10 years. And if he had them for 8 to 10 years and shared them with ghostwriters like it alleges in this report, then how is he serious about protecting national security? Critical question that has to be asked, because if he was so concerned about national security, you would think that the president would have returned these documents to those sources so that they could maintain the security. But the only issue of security comes out because there's a clear bias against Donald Trump, because people don't want him to be having the popularity and the support of the American people. So they seek to demonize Donald Trump by saying he basically went and had these documents in his home. But when Joe Biden has had these documents in his home for over a decade, it's perfectly fine. That's clearly a case of hypocrisy, as I see it, and a case of hypocrisy because many of these presidents oftentimes have taken documents with them, but it wasn't a problem. And if Joe Biden was sharing it before, you can't really say that Donald Trump was a bad guy in this situation. Now, I'm no supporter of Donald Trump, but I do support fairness and justice. And what it looks like to me is that there's a campaign to try to discredit Donald Trump and get him out of the entire political process. But the way they're going about it basically exposes many of these blue party types as hypocrites, because if Joe Biden can have documents and even share them with ghostwriters, then it shows that these documents being secure isn't an issue. Now, the real serious issue here is what the investigators found about Joe Biden's so-called mental acuity. If he's got mental acuity issues, then he possibly isn't fit for leadership. But it seems like those in the blue party want to prop him up to try to keep him going, even when his mind isn't all there. And that just is completely unethical and shows how desperate these blue party people are to maintain their power base, that they'll take a mentally incompetent individual who doesn't have the mental acuity to be fit for office and still try to run this individual on a platform because they fear getting crushed by Donald Trump. But the irony is all their actions are basically making it where Donald Trump is stronger. Again, it's like my analogy about the bad boyfriend and the teenage girl. People keep attacking the bad boyfriend, trying to make him out to be the villain, but that makes her all the more attracted to him. And that's what's happening here with Donald Trump. The more you attack him, the more you make him appear to be more appealing. And that's all because these individuals don't have a case. And this whole case, as related, the document shows how weak things are as related to their case. They want to persecute Donald Trump for the things that they give Joe Biden a pass for. And that really shows how these modern day political Pharisees and Sadducees are just as hypocritical as their ancestors were, and how full of it they are, because if it wasn't a problem for Joe Biden, then how is it for Donald Trump?
Right, and Joe. Well, I think, and here's the thing: the American people, especially, I believe, are watching this. You know, normally, a lot of our people traditionally tend to be lazy, but I think deep down, especially with what's happening in the major cities like New York and Chicago with the immigration situation, people are quickly realizing what's going on with the Democratic Party, and that's why they're starting to lose interest in them. I think a lot of people are losing interest in the political system in general, but there's going to be a red wave in November. I honestly believe that. I honestly think Donald Trump, it may take this by a landslide. Georgia is not going to go blue this time.
Well, not after Fannie Willis.
No, not just Fannie Willis, but also I think you got a good chance, especially even with Nevada. That's going to probably could go red. New York likely will not go. New York was always going to be blue because it's just been the Democrats have had a hold on the East Coast for a long time. The last time I think it ever did go red was when Ronald Reagan ran in 1984. But I definitely could see, same thing with Illinois, but I definitely could see Georgia's in the South too. So that's not going blue. But I wanted to show everybody, and you have many people turning against Joe Biden. So this is what I wanted to show you. So in Michigan, this is an article from the Washington Post. The Michigan Arabs and Muslims are pushing back against Joe Biden to defeat him in a critical state. Now, they are angered because Biden's refusal to call a ceasefire has turned into political organizing. And you had a mayor of a Muslim, an Arab Muslim mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, who they've pushed back, and they actually seem, I guess, I guess it would be an endorsement of Donald Trump, although he didn't officially say it, but they are saying they're not supporting Joe Biden. So that tells you one thing or the other. So listen to this.
This is not a moment that calls for electoral politics.
This is
Over the course now of coming close to 120 days, Israel has murdered more than 27,000 Gazans and displaced over 2 million. And for us, the lives of Palestinians should not be measured simply in poll numbers. We want to have meaningful dialogue with senior decision makers and policymakers who have the ability and the openness to change course on what's folding overseas. And as you've seen at rallies across this country, the position that we've taken, one in which we support a ceasefire, is not one just supported by Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. This is supported by over 60% of Americans across the country, over 80% of Democrats, and even over 50% of Republicans.
Last week, Biden's campaign.
So here's another video. Oh.
First in the United States. All that makes this community a coveted voting bloc by Democratic States. American mayors, a first in the
Now, I want you to look at this. They say 3 cities, this is in Michigan, mind you, are led by Arab American mayors. They set up their businesses in black neighborhoods. Dr. Claude Anderson was even talking about this back in the late 90s, how the Arab community doesn't even had a population, I think, of even 1% or between 1 or 2% in Detroit, but they controlled almost 70% of the economics in the black community. If you read his book, Powernomics, he goes in depth about it. Black labor, white wealth also discusses this. Ain't that something? So hold on.
United States. All that makes this community a coveted voting bloc by Democrats, and especially a president whose 2020 victory in Michigan hinged on their support.
Joe Biden will not get our vote if he stands on his head from now until November. It's done.
Minutes before our interview with the publisher of the Arab American News in Dearborn, Biden's campaign manager, Julie Chavez Rodriguez, had come to explore the potential for a presidential visit here.
I just said it to his campaign manager that he has to do better than Jesus, bring in thousands from dead.
Arab Americans say they're abandoning Biden in November's election because of his administration's continued unconditional support for Israel in its war on Gaza and his downplaying of Palestinian casualties. Biden has yet to call for a ceasefire despite mounting domestic pressure.
Who are the Arab Americans in Michigan? They're Palestinians, Lebanese, Iraqis, Syrian, and Yemenis. And you're bombing the hell out of them. This president is destroying their country. They will not meet with that.
Across town, we meet with Dearborn businessman Nasser Baidoun, who's running for the U.S. Senate.
You have a U.S. president that's responsible for the death of 30,000. To us, that's not a president.
Similar statements made by a handful of progressive Democrats in Congress have led the pro-Israel lobby to spend tens of millions of dollars to try and unseat them.
I was approached by the former chairman of the Democratic Party from Michigan, and they offered me $20 million if I drop out of the race, run against Rashida Tlaib.
That former chairman, Lon Johnson, denies he made the offer to Baidoun on behalf of the Israeli lobby. The other Democratic candidate for the Senate seat, Hill Harper, made the same claim weeks earlier.
When I got my citizenship in 1984 from President Reagan, that Republican president told us that now you became an American citizen. Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget your culture and your heritage. Keep it and share it with Americans and make America great again.
That slogan now attached to the very likely Republican candidate in this year's presidential race, one who has openly disparaged Arab Americans, many of whom are Muslims and immigrants. There are no definitive answers here about how exactly this community will approach the ballot, only a commitment that Biden is not welcome to return. Yasmin Asabawi, TRT World, Dearborn, Michigan.
So, Shawn, what do you think of the Arab Americans who are upset with Biden?
Well, Joe Biden is basically reaping what he sowed, later than what he sowed, greater than what he sowed. Because all of these Arab Americans who they imported here were basically put here to so-called replace foundational Black Americans and try to minimize the impact of the foundational Black American vote. And what's happening to Joe Biden right now is he's finding that those members of his minority coalition are not getting the tangibles that they want, and they are withholding their vote because when they see their own people being slaughtered, they are making a statement that they're not going to vote for a president who is wholesaling the slaughter of their own people. And what they're doing is what foundational Black Americans should be doing with their own votes, because Joe Biden in December of 2020 expressed the same kind of contempt to foundational Black Americans when he said he could do nothing for us. And when he said he could do nothing for us, that's when we need to start saying, hey, we're not going to vote for this candidate or support this candidate, since this candidate will not support us. And that's what those Arabs are saying right now. And this basically blows a hole in Joe Biden's whole new base that he hoped to build to try to replace Black people. And that's where Joe Biden reaps what he sows, later than what he sows, greater than what he sows, because he and many of those members of the Blue and Red Party imported these people to be our replacements. And now they are taking their political power and using it to go against these people like Joe Biden and letting them know that their issues are going to be the ones that they vote on, and their agenda is the one they're going to vote on, and they are the ones picking their candidates. They are basically going out here and using the economic power that they were given to form political power. And most of those in the blue party, again, getting exactly what they deserve because they didn't want to deal with black people. They didn't want black people having jobs. They didn't want black people being a part of a middle class. They didn't want black people having economic power. And now the people you imported and gave power to are using that power against you. And as I see it, hey, you just got what you deserve because you disrespected those people. You thought you could come in and treat them the way you treated black people. You're just going to murder a bunch of Palestinians and sign off on it. And they were just going to sit down and take it just like black people have been taking it for years. But instead of taking it, all they're doing is taking their power. And that's what's got Joe Biden in a political bind, because even though these people are less than 1% of the population, those are votes that he's guaranteed to lose. And you combine that with the black vote that he's definitely going to lose. This is just setting up to be an election disaster for Joe Biden, where the Joker thought he could go out here and laugh at black people. But it looks like his coalition is making it where he's not going to be laughing in November. No, he may be crying in November, and it'll be his fault because he went out here and created this coalition. And now the coalition of Arabs, the coalition of Hispanics, and the coalition of Asians ain't thinking about voting for him. And all of those black people who he threw a middle finger up at ain't thinking about taking their booties to the poll. And that's all because he blew people off, took people for granted, had no respect for people. And as I see it, when you went out here and disrespect people, what they did is take their respect. And as they take their respect, they take their votes away, or they just stay home and wait another 4 years, because that's what the Arab mayor had said. He'll wait 4 years with Trump to deal with someone who will give him tangibles. And that's what most of the other voters are out here are doing. So the blue party basically has crapped Brown, and they've crapped Brown because they have a candidate that hasn't really gone out here and made them capable of winning this 2024 election.
Most definitely. I think it has backfired already. And Biden, according to this report, seemed unconcerned. Just listen to this.
Many the Arab American vote voting for you during this election because of Gaza. Many say they will not vote for you.
Well, look, the president wants to the former president wants to put a ban on Arabs coming into the country. We'll make sure we understand who cares about the Arab population, number one. Number two, we got a long way to go in terms of settling the situation in Gaza.
Yeah.
He keeps talking. He's going to lose this election all by himself.
They're taking people for granted.
Yeah.
No tangibles, and they're doing the same thing. If there's no tangibles, no vote. And there are going to be people that are going to vote for him. The old Negroes, Roland, we know, going to vote. Beep, 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 beep. Y'all stupid ass Simon's going to vote for Trump. Beep, 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 beep. He going to get in and cut all my funding. Beep, beep, even though Biden and them, they haven't given me beep, 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 any funding for my program. Better be mindful of this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hit that notification bell. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We are live, and I'm coming at you with 5. Ladies and gentlemen, so I know most of you wanted to hear because we saw that thumbnail. We're going to get into our main topic, final thing I wanted to talk about tonight. That is Monique and her interview with Shannon Sharpe. Now, for those that don't know, this past Tuesday, the Monique interview on Club Shay Shay with your boy Shay Sharpe. They call me Uncle. They call me Uncle because I was a 3-time Super Bowl champion, Skip. I've interviewed everybody. I caught every ball. I did everything. I played with John Elway, Skip. It's so amazing. And so Shannon Sharpe, the thick tongue Sharpe, he's been on a roll lately with this podcast, Shawn. He's actually, his Cat Williams interview garnered almost 55 million viewers. This interview that he has with Monique, the whole interview right now, according to what I've looked at, he has Now this is just, now he broke it up in different videos, but so you think about that, he gets stuff from that. The Mo'Nique interview has 5.4 million views. So he's made a lot of leeway, a lot of money for YouTube, especially that interview he did with Cat Williams. And so people are tuning in because they want all the tea, if you know what I mean. And Mo'Nique went in on a lot of people. She talked about Tyler Perry. She talked about Oprah. She talked about Shannon. She talked about D.L. Hughley, Kevin Hart, and Cat Williams. And I want y'all to listen very closely. Now, Steve even mentioned briefly Steve Harvey, and Brother Dwan B played this earlier. Shout out to him. Some people were concerned about her remarks, so I want y'all to listen. I don't want to get a copyright strike, but I've sped it up. But I want you to listen very carefully what she's talking about. So she's talking about how she got blacklisted in Hollywood, and the people, especially with Tyler Perry. For those that don't know the situation, Mo'Nique was in the movie Precious. She won an Oscar, and Lionsgate was the production, the studio. Lee Daniels was the one who directed and produced the movie. The movie was, it was about the worst thing a human being could go through. I don't really care for it, but she had issues, obviously, with the studio, with the producers, especially how they wanted her to promote the film and they didn't pay her for it. So she's been fighting this pay disparity. She's been fighting Netflix and others. So, and she even talked about Will Packer, and I'll get to that in a minute. But listen to what she had to say.
Appreciate that. Kevin kept his word. He reached out to Tyler Perry. LA for 3 months. Except you not taking accountability for what you've done, what you've said, and we just, should I tell a lie? And get a
About
reward?
Tyler Perry.
So that's how we're rolling right now. That's how we're dealing with one another right now. So when it comes to family and people saying, oh, Mo'Nique, how could you? Listen, I want to live the rest of this journey that I have in peace. I want to be with my family, in love with my man, he in love with me. We watch our babies grow and develop their own families. I don't need anything in the midst of that because you family that I should accept that trauma. I should accept you not taking accountability for what you've done, what you've said, and we just washed the slate. That's why we are in the position we are now as a community, as a Black community, as a community in entertainment. Everybody's been so afraid to say, look what they did to me. Look what they said. And it's like, oh, well, listen now, we don't want to ruffle no feathers, especially if the messenger doesn't fit what the messenger is supposed to look like. Right. And we keep repeating history, Shannon.
Is it a situation, Mo'Nique, where people look and say, well, you made it thus far, well, it couldn't have been that bad? Because if it had been as bad as you said, Mo'Nique, how would you have ever gotten out of B-More? How would you have ever gotten into Hollywood? How would you ever have a talk show? How would you ever be on a sitcom? So how is it that bad, Mo'Nique, and you end up like this?
You know when you first got in the NFL?
Yes, ma'am.
Your eyes were like this.
Yes.
And it was, oh, I made it. I'm here.
Right.
And then after you start getting in it, and you started seeing things, and you started feeling things, and now your eyes start getting a little closer because now you're understanding what the business is. Right. So when you first walk through the door, you're walking through the door saying, come on, baby. Oh, this is all I've ever prayed for. And when my baby Cat Williams sat here and said, no one's ever gone out to LA and got a sitcom like that. I was in LA for 3 months. And here comes a show called The Parkers. And you know when Cat Williams said gatekeepers?
Yeah.
Kevin Hart, I do his podcast.
Yes.
And I want y'all to re-listen to the podcast so you can hear it for yourself. When he first comes on, he says, you're like my mother, you're like my aunt, you're like my sister. Okay? Then we do the podcast. We speak about the Tyler Perry situation. Oprah Winfrey, he said, I don't really know Oprah, but I'm gonna reach out to Tyler. Appreciate that. Kevin kept his word. He reached out to Tyler Perry. Kevin Hart called me back about maybe a week or so later. He said, Mo, I talked to Tyler. He said he don't want to revisit it. He said, but I tell you what, let's move past that, Mo. Let's just move past that and let's just do great things. So whatever.
That's what Kevin said.
I want you to hear me, Kevin Hart. Let's move past that, Mo. Let's do some great things together. Don't even worry about it. Whatever y'all want to do, I will partner with you.
So what she's talking about is the issue she had with Kevin Hart, with Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey, or Oprah Winfrey, because Oprah was a producer on that show, on that movie Precious, by the way. But Mo'Nique is going in now and talking about Kevin Hart and how he reached out to her. So pay attention to what she's saying.
I'll executive produce with you. You just let me know what you want to do. Now, let me say that before we go any further, because I want to make sure I give Kevin Hart his proper credit. When my family was up against the wall, Kevin Hart wrote us a check and said, here you go. We're forever grateful for that. When we were able to give it back, we said, brother, we appreciate you with some interest on top, because I don't ever want nobody to think. Me and my husband. So I want to make sure I put that out there. That brother really helped us out when we needed to be helped out. Then when he came back with, I got you. I didn't ask Kevin Hart to do anything. He said, I'll executive produce. I'll partner with you. I said, good shit, Kevin, because we're in a deal with Endemol. And we're trying to get our talk show back. Mo, whatever it is, I got you. Now,
so she's talking about her talk show. You remember the Mo'Nique show that was on BET back in 2010. She had a night program, a TV talk show at night, late night, and it was a great program. I enjoyed it. I watched it. So her show had gotten canceled, and she's stating that Kevin Hart had an agreement or tried to help her get her show back with this production company. Now, pay very close attention to the next thing she says. She says that someone, Kevin Hart's manager, was the one that killed this deal. So listen.
Kevin Hart is one of the biggest entertainers right now in the world, right? And was then. We got off the phone with Kevin Hart. We called Endemol immediately and said, Kevin Hart said, whatever we want to do, he got us. He's going to partner executive use. They was like, oh, this is incredible, because when you put Kevin Hart's name on it, you already know what it is.
Correct.
2 weeks go by. We get a call from Endemol. Endemol says, we just got a call from Kevin Hart's manager, Dave Becky. And Dave Becky said, Kevin doesn't want anything to do with Monique. So whatever she told y'all, he doesn't want to do anything with her, nothing. You know, he doesn't want any kind of relationship with Monique.
So what changed between the 2 weeks and when, and plus he gave you a check, you gave the money back, then said he would partner with you, executive produce, whatever you need, Mo, hey, we got you. So what transpired, or what do you think transpired between then, that 2 week period?
Well, as soon as we got off the phone and they told us what Kevin's manager, David Becky, said, I called Kevin Hart immediately. I said, hey, baby, we just got off the phone with Endemol, and they said Dave Becky called them up and said, you don't want anything to do with me. He said, Mo, that's a miscommunication. I can tell you right now. I said, wait a minute. Are you okay, though, with this white man calling them up? Getting in between our relationship, that's something you said. He said, Mo, that's a miscommunication, and we're going to talk Tuesday. Don't worry about it. I'm telling you right now, it's a miscommunication. That was 2 years ago. If you talk to him, I talk to him. I've never talked back to Kevin Hart again. So that's what we're faced with. When you allow somebody to come in between a relationship with a woman that you said, I'm like your mother. You said I'm like these things. I didn't ask you for that. So everything that lady was saying sitting here, everything he was saying was on the up and up, because when you hear people say, get the anger out your heart. Oh, man, no one's saying he's lying. No one ever said I was lying. It's so easy to discount and devalue because of what we look like. Right. When we have our juggernauts, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, these are our juggernauts of our community. These are the people that our babies say, when I grow up, I want to be that. I want to be like that. So we have to call those people to the mat and say, listen, what are you teaching our babies? You're feeding poison because you're showing them your private jet. I'm gonna show you my mansion. I'm gonna show you my fancy cars, but my character is shot and I'm bankrupt. I got a lot of money in my bank. It's more zeros than some of them than we can imagine, but their character, they are bankrupt. Those are bankrupt people. So everybody that Cat sat right here and told you about, I can't wait to see your next interviews with those people.
They ain't coming on now, Mo.
Invite them.
I have.
They're not gonna do it.
Well, look, I've already done Steve. I have a relationship with Steve.
Do him again. Do him again. And I'm gonna say this.
I'm trying to get Oprah and Tyler though.
Baby, we got him. Y'all come on, stop playing.
They ain't coming on, Mo, thanks to you.
You know how. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to say it because I appreciate you as a black man and what you're doing. If you are my friend and someone says to me, Monique, Shannon Sharp wronged me, and you my friend, I'm going to call my friend and I'm going to say, hey, is what they saying true? And if you get to him and Han, I'm going to tell you, till you fix it, you and I can't talk. Because if you'll do them that way, it'll be a matter of time before you do it to me. So if Steve Harvey is your friend, you call your friend up and you ask him, is what our sister saying right, man? Because if it is, we can't do that to her.
Now, let me stop here. So she's talking about all these people. She even went in on DL Hughley about the situation that happened in Detroit, the stuff with his daughter. And so it's made waves all across the internet. And Steve Harvey and DL Hughley responded to this. So I'm going to play what Steve Harvey had to say. Shout out to Dwan B because he got this. But Steve Harvey was going in not on Monique, but on Shannon Sharp. Hold on. Y'all listen carefully.
Each morning, that's 100. Diane B from Chicago.
Yeah, you know, and I'm really concerned that we may not be able to turn this trend around because the devil has convinced so many people that clicks and likes is the way to become successful.
Oh, I might have a.
There is a cost factor to that. There's a cost factor to us, and there's a cost factor to you, and it's no good either way. And I think there's a man that's about to learn that lesson. You know, just because you throw a podcast that gets blow up numbers, I'm talking about out of sky high numbers, you're gonna double down and you're gonna start bringing on people on your podcast who you know have a negative message, and you think that by doing that, that's gonna make you who you want to be. I got bad news for you, brother. You headed in the wrong direction, and I feel sorry for you. And if that's what we're gonna do as old ass people, we are surely sending the wrong message to young people. You can't be called Unc and people look up to you by calling you Unc, and then you turn around and then you mislead them. That ain't cool, man. That is just not cool, brother. I feel badly for you, man. You're going the wrong way, partner, but you're gonna find out though. Because that's a simple scripture, man. The Bible is very basic, but you know, remember that scripture you learned in Sunday school?
Here come that Bible shit.
You would have them do unto you.
That's the one.
You think that don't apply to adults?
Well, all right.
So he gets upset. Steve Harvey is upset, and he's attacking Shannon for interviewing somebody that Steve Harvey, first of all, let's not forget, was not Monique on Steve Harvey's TV show a few years ago talking about how she was treated? And Steve Harvey talked about how this ain't the money game. This ain't the integrity game. This the money game. I can't be who I want and make the money I can. Your husband can't go out like he is because you're going to starve. Y'all remember that? Who remembers that? Remember when Steve Harvey had Monique on his show? When they got real, this the money game.
Right, I'm back here with my sister Monique, and we're beginning. I opened some doors around here. It is not the same without us. Yes. You are too valuable. I don't want to lose your gift to the world because we're trying to prove a point when we can prove the point by doing it in a more loving way. That's all I want, man.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
100%. The only way I know how to do it is loving because that's all that's in my heart. Okay. Now, when I say it, you may not like how I say it.
Yes, but see, if it's in your heart, love sound like love.
Yes. Yes.
See, that's what. So if it don't sound like it when you say it, that's because it ain't. So this is what we're gonna close out like this. I'm gonna try and arrange. I'm gonna do my best to get the conversations that need to be had between you and these people, so you can hear from them. I'm going to then ask them would they say it publicly for the benefit of everybody so you can get the release that you need. Then I'm going to ask you to tell these people and apologize for some bashing you done. I know you don't think you did now, but you did. And when everybody can come to that, then I think that's a chance for us to move. I love you, Mo. I'm glad you came to see me. Looking back on it, I should have picked up the phone and called you more readily.
I appreciate
it. I probably should have done that. Just looking on it, that's probably what I should have done.
called your
But I
ass.
didn't. So now I'm here and moving forward as your big brother. I just want to help you, Mo. I swear to God.
So he has Monique on talking about this. DL Hughley, of course, responds. And you heard what she said about Kevin Hart, Tyler Perry. There was a whole bunch. Shawn, I think you even watched the videos earlier that I sent to you. But what she was saying about Cat Williams is that Cat Williams, all they can say, oh, it's anger. They never once said Cat Williams was lying about some of the stuff he was saying about these people. She even mentioned that Oprah went up for her, got the part of the Butler where she played the wife. Oprah got that role, which you think about it, what does Oprah need to do acting for? Why is she in a movie? Why is she getting these roles and not giving it to other actresses, trained actors? So DL Hughley even responded because of Monique's comments, especially about the contract with her, with Netflix, with Detroit that happened, how she called him out in Netflix. So he goes in also on Shannon Sharp. So hold on.
Shay Shay is getting messier and messier. It's almost like Wendy Williams didn't go anywhere. She just got a weight set. So Monique was on. Every time I see Monique these days, she's on doing some greasy ass video with her and her daddy complaining about something or working out. I don't know nobody work out that much in gain weight unless every crunch you do has got Captain in front of it. But apparently she goes on Club Shay Shay and tells the story about how she came on my radio show and I wasn't there at the time. And my co-host Jasmine Sanders played a game that we played all the time with everybody called Would You Rather. She apparently was so offended by that she said she got off. She called me. Monique did, and she said I was very dismissive. Like, Monique's a liar. When Monique did call me, I heard her complaints. I listened to her, and I pulled the segment. So if I had been as dismissive as she alleges I was, that segment would have aired. It didn't because I respected her wishes. She's a liar. It also befuddles the shit out of me how somebody who has a comedian talks as much shit about everybody else as she does. She has the temerity to be offended about anything as much shit as you say about people. Then she encouraged everybody, allegedly it stems from the fact that I used to always talk shit about her on video after video, and she encouraged her sweet babies to look at the video and find them. Do that. Do exactly what she says. And you know what you're not going to find? You're not going to find any evidence of that because Monique is a fucking liar. She's lying about that. But what you will find is Monique talking shit about some alleged contract dispute we had. Look at the ticket. It says D.L. Hughley, then Monique. She knows the story. But what she did in response to that, she talked about my dog, my wife. This broad even brought out my daughter's personal trauma. My daughter was molested and Monique brought that shit out and told the world that I allowed my daughter to be raped in front of me. The lying motherfucker. She knows she was lying. And it only stopped when everybody from my family checked her. It's interesting. You know what else you won't see Monique doing? You won't ever see her with her family, videos with her children or grandchildren, because nobody fucks with me. How do you have sweet babies when your own babies don't fuck with you? How do you love us for real when there's no evidence of anybody loving you for real, except your daddy, who you apparently have to pay? And FYI, daughters are paid for by daddies, not daddies who get paid by their daughters. You know what else you won't see Monique doing? Telling jokes. Monique, if she'd have spent as much time actually writing jokes and writing her Netflix special as she did complaining about not having one, it wouldn't have been trash. It got the worst reviews of any Netflix special in history, because that's what Monique does. She complains and she has grievances. You never see her being a human being. You never see her being sweet and warm to people, except when she's using it to butter somebody up to get something. There's a reason why everywhere she goes, shit starts. Everywhere she goes. How is it that nobody fucks with you, not even your family? How do you, oh, I was on the road, get it. I get it every goddamn week. Look at my schedule versus yours. See how much I'm going. And I still manage to have a relationship that I cherish with my children. Can you say the same? You can't. Because all you do is talk about your grievances and who did you wrong. There's a reason you're by yourself. There's a reason you got to pay a man to love you. It's sad. There's an old adage that says you can't buy love. It's a shame, Monique, that you probably always will have to.
So there was that. She also in the interview talked about Will Packer, who is a great producer. I think he's done outstanding movies. And you had to have Gary Owen throw his 2 cents in. So what Monique was talking about was on the set of Almost Christmas, that movie she did where she actually, she tore it up. She actually was, to me, she did a great job with the film. But she talked about the set and the working conditions. And she pointed out the fact that the trailers that they were working in blew up. And she states Will Packer was nonchalant about it. And so Gary Owen decided to throw his 2 cents in it. I'm not going to go and search for the whole. This is the art. This is the video. So Gary Owen decided to step in and talk about Monique and this.
Whew. Man, Monique don't stop. She blames everybody. It's Oprah, it's Tyler, it's Lee Daniels, it's Netflix. Now it's Will Packer. She went too far when she started blaming Will Packer on shit. That's my friend. That's my homeboy. Will Packer's done more for black actors and actresses than just about anybody in the last 10 years. I mean, he has basically shown Hollywood that black movies have a mainstream market. I mean, Takers, Think Like a Man, Ride Along, Stomp the Yard, Girls Trip. I mean, the dude is basically changing the game, and now you're going to say he's against you, when honestly, he put you in a movie Almost Christmas when nobody was putting you in movies, and he stuck his neck out, and he went to bat for you, and then you throw him in on the bus. I'm not going to sit back and let you slander my friend's name like that. Will Packer is a good person. That's a good brother, man. He helped change my life, and I ain't going to sit back and let you slander his name, Monique. Sometimes you got to take accountability for yourself. It's you. It's you. What can you do to change things? Stop blaming everybody else for your shit, man. Come on, Monique. Shit's getting old.
And people have gone in on him with that. A lot of people have commented on it. He would never went in on a black man like that. Ouch Love commented and said, sometimes something that I detest is when individuals are extremely articulate in explaining their positions, and yet whether black or white, you take it completely out of context on what was being conveyed. And they want to comment where you have no business commenting. First of all, is she showed her distinct for how he did not honor his contract, and that there was, and it's publicly known, a really dangerous mishap of actors' trailers just going up in flames. Insurance, Black Lightning. That's all I got to say with that one. So, Shawn, I'm going to let you speak. What do you think?
Man, Monique don't stop.
Monique was saying, and especially the response. You have Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley. You know, I have issues with, D.L. Hughley actually follows me on Twitter. I follow him. And this was years ago, I get when I had that. But I don't really communicate with him. And he's actually I have him on Facebook, but I don't really communicate like talking about that or anything like that. I had a lot of respect for him, but I'll be honest, especially in later years, I had gotten really disappointed, especially when he tried to be, I guess, the black version of Bill Maher when he was pushing everything with the Democratic Party. And on top of that, more so how he has even used his platform. Remember, he attacked Bill Cosby because Bill Cosby criticized him for using the N-word. And he basically went on Vlad TV. He's gone on Vlad. He's gone on Andy Cohen, calling Dr. Cosby a rapist. He went in and goes in on black people all the time. Remember, he even was on TMZ, and he said something about, well, if we concerned about, I can't remember who the actor was, but he basically said something, well, we should be worried. If we concerned about R. Kelly, we need to be worried about Michael Jackson too. I think that was the line he said. So, and recent years, he's been going on that train. But Shawn, I'm going to let you talk. What do you think of what Monique was saying and all of the three who have responded?
Well, this really, I have to sit there and wonder, is this black YouTube or is this black Hollywood? And as I was listening to Monique, she really wasn't saying anything new to me because as
Right.
somebody who studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years, I know that there's one rule, you just don't trust anyone. And the other rule is get everything in writing. And both of those rules come together because when it comes to people, a lot of people will talk around you, but the whole thing is, if you're doing business, nothing is concrete until you get it in writing in a contract. And what happened to Monique as related to the blacklisting, I believe happened here, is that she trusted people as related to their word and soon found that in Hollywood, people's word just isn't their bond. And that's why whenever you get a deal with someone, it's not done until it's in writing. And that's what happened to her, I believe, as related to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, she basically had the deal as related to words, as related to, hey, she thought she was cool. But what happened was a couple of phone calls were made and the deal got scuttled. And that's when she found out she didn't really have a deal with somebody who she thought was a friend. And that's the whole dark part of the business. And that's why you got to get everything in writing and get everything signed down in a contract, because that's the only way you can protect yourself in this business. And it's sad because when it comes to Black Hollywood, I'm seeing that there's nobody here you can trust. And that's what basically Monique and Cat Williams are telling you, that this whole Black Hollywood is filled with a lot of black bootlicks. And these bootlicks will basically stab their own mothers to get ahead as related to gaining favor with whites and getting favor in the entertainment industry. They will do anything to get ahead. And that's what basically was shown here with what Monique is telling us, that many of these so-called entertainers who we thought were friends were really just really treacherous. But that's just business in Hollywood, because Hollywood is filled with liars and backstabbers. And when it comes to Hollywood, you may think you may know people, but people will just put on a face. And as they put on that face, they make you think that they're a friend. But in actuality, all they're looking to do is get information to get themselves up to another level. That's basically what's happening here with Monique. She found out the hard way about dealing with people in Hollywood. And that's why you have to understand, when you're in this business, you have no allies. And Monique found out the hard way she had no allies. And now that she's found out that she has no allies, she's going out and looking to let everybody know how treacherous people are in Hollywood. And the sad part is, even with an Academy Award and all of these accolades, this is how they did Monique. And this is what's done to all of these performers out here in Hollywood. And that's one of the reasons why I said I wanted nothing to do with this business myself, because it's worse than a junior high school with all of the treachery and the backstabbing. You think people got your back, but those same people will take that information and look to flip you over. That's how cold this business is. And that's what Cat Williams told us in his interview with Shannon Sharpe. That's what Monique told us in her interview with Shannon Sharpe. But that's what Sean James would have told you in his YouTube videos for many years, because I know all about this business and I know how dirty this business is. And if you don't have anything in writing, it's not a deal at all. And that's the hard lesson that Monique learned. And what she's telling us about all of these different guys is stuff that I've already heard from guys like Mr. Chris from Mr. Chris and Company. He talked about Steve Harvey and how treacherous he is. And Mr. Superboy has talked about D.L. Hughley and all of the ratchet stuff he has done, like going against Bill Cosby. So really, I'm hearing a lot of stuff from Monique that basically substantiates a lot of things I already know about the black entertainment industry. And one of the things I know about the black entertainment industry is that it is a shark tank full of bootlicks, and all those bootlicks are going to do is backstab each other. And it's a dirty business. So this is not a business for a greenhorn. This is not a business for a friend. And what Monique is telling us is that even if you try to be a mother to a person and have a relationship with them, they will turn on you. And that's just always been the business. So in this business, you have no allies, and you have to come in knowing you're going to be alone and you're going to leave alone. But when you are a black person, you're going to leave in an ignominious fashion, because people, if they can sell you out, they will sell you out. And that's basically what Monique is telling everyone, if folks in Hollywood like Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry can get rid of you, and they will sell you out. And if they can't exploit you, they will have no place for you in their Hollywood, because their Hollywood is a fiefdom where they're looking to control the narrative and collude to control the narrative. And since Mo'Nique is not considered somebody they consider a value asset, they look to get rid of her. And now she's looking to go out here and pull the wool and air out all the dirty laundry. But that dirty laundry, while it stinks, I already know what the smell is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted nothing to do with Hollywood, because Hollywood is a dirty place, and Black Hollywood is extremely dirty and treacherous, and it's the worst place you could ever go, because in Black Hollywood, you don't have to worry about the white supremacists taking you out. One of these black bootlicks will do it for extra butter biscuit or extra piece of cornbread. And in Black Hollywood, you have no allies. And Shannon Sharpe has basically confirmed this with these two fantastic interviews that tell us the truth all about the treachery that is in Black Hollywood.
So, Shawn, what did you think, though, about what she said about Will Packer? I don't know if you saw that clip.
I didn't see that clip yet, so.
But essentially what Gary Owen was clapping back at was that, I explained it. Essentially what she was saying was that on the set of Almost Christmas, Mr. Packer allegedly was very nonchalant about a fire, basically these trailers that blew up from a gas leak, and was more concerned about the props on the set than he was if anybody was hurt, supposedly.
Well, that's the business in Hollywood. There are a lot of cold folks in this business, and there's not.
Gary Owen was said it was wrong for her to basically clapped at him. I wanted to know what you thought about him.
Well, that's the business in Hollywood. So in the business of Hollywood, there are a lot of cold people in Hollywood. So a lot of people are just looking out for themselves, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, there's a lot of ruthless folks in this business, and you got to understand that when these people come into this business, they're not coming to make friends. They're coming to make money. I know that's a cold thing to say, but that is the business here. And when it comes to American Hollywood is a foul place. And if you're expecting people to be loving and caring in this business, you're in the wrong place. No, people are extremely cold and cynical. So there's no friends here. There's no caring. There's no compassion. And a guy being concerned more about props than people. Yeah, I know that that's possible because, again, this business is all about money, and people are only friends with you as far as they can get ahead with you. That's the way it's always been with Hollywood. And again, this is why I wanted nothing to do with this business, because this business cares nothing about people.
Yeah. Well, it's a dog-eat-dog world. And, she didn't just talk about them. She also talked about Tiffany Haddish, because Tiffany Haddish made a remark in an interview you can read here. She said, but I wanted to know, I mean, you saw Steve Harvey talking about, but she basically said how Tiffany Haddish made the remark, my business run different than her business. I don't live her life. I don't have that husband of hers. And Mo'Nique fired back, said, well, when I saw that, it's like, Tiffany, if you had a husband like mine, you wouldn't have had 2 DUIs. If you had a husband like mine, you may not be caught up in what looks like you could have been grooming a child. She's referring to that sketch that she did with Ari Spears with the boy. But yeah, that was a hard one. That was a hard one. That was a tough one. Mo'Nique, do you think she's difficult to work with?
Well, I would have to work with her on a set in order to figure that out, because the only way I can talk about somebody working on a set if they're difficult is if I actually work with them and they give me a hard time on lines, or they give me a hard time as related to shots. I mean, I'd have to actually be there with that person or have interactions with them that would let me know that this person is difficult. I mean, I don't know what this worker is like to work with this woman, so I can't really say anything about that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have been saying that about her. Here's the thing. I don't know Mo'Nique. I do know people have interacted with Mo'Nique, actually. I know someone who did, and she said her experience with her wasn't good. Now, I wasn't there. It could have been a situation where Mo may have been having a bad day. I don't know. I've heard negative stuff about Steve Harvey. And you listen to Steve Harvey. But here's the thing, Shawn, if you listen to Steve and DL, they were attacking Shannon.
But you can't attack him for just having a show. I mean,
Right.
he puts the guests on, and they are going to present their talking
And
points.
they have their own show, their own radio shows where they talk about people.
Yeah. And
So
if you want to challenge those points, you need to make your own show to rebut them or have a podcast to rebut those talking points. Like I did when some guy tried to make a whole video about me 45 minutes long. I did a 2.5-hour live stream to rebut those points. And that's what you have to do when somebody presents talking points and allegations. Make your own counterpoints and let everybody know what the facts are from your side.
yeah. But if you want, check out the whole episode. It's actually pretty good. Just as like the Shannon Sharp Cat Williams interview. I enjoyed that one. But yeah, people were clapping back at Gary Owen. Somebody said, I don't care. Yeah. Don't invite this fool to the cookout, whoever. Yeah, man. All right. Well, Shawn, I'm gonna let you do another plug-in. Just curious, I know the answer to this already, but the Grammys, you know that the ratings have increased?
I wasn't one of the people who watched it.
Yeah.
Maybe the Swifties made the ratings go up, but me, I didn't care about the Grammys. I haven't cared about award shows in years.
Yeah. All right. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Also donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. Shawn, we're gonna wrap this thing up, but you want to do a final plug-in? You can go ahead and do it.
All right. You guys can pick up the books of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog, John Haynes' Illuminati, and ISIS Dark Incubus on Kindle to pre-order right now on Amazon.com. And those books will be available in paperback on March 22nd and April 26th. So if you guys want to start picking up those 2024 books, put your pre-orders for the Kindle versions right now, or you can wait for the paperbacks on March 22nd and April 26th. And you can pick up all of the books in the SJS Direct catalog in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com or on digital format on Draft to Digital and Google Play.
All right. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Please donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. Shawn, thank you for joining us as always here on Random Topic Thursdays. This was a great one.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
All right. And it's been another exciting edition, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back next week. Sorry, excuse me. Oof, I told y'all I'm tired. I had a quiet birthday, but a good birthday. So thank y'all for the birthday wishes. And I'll be back in the next one. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle if you would like. Support us here at the bottom. And I'll see y'all a little later, ladies and gentlemen. I'll holla. Peace. Good night, guys. Oh, before I forget, make sure you get the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby on Amazon Kindle, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good one. All right. I'll see y'all in the next one, fam. Be one, be safe, and be blessed.